Welcome to week 6 of Pelusi's Pick'em. Julianne Pelusi with Alan Saunders. And Alan, we got the Browns coming up this week after the bye week, and I am going Darnell Washington heavy. What say you?
We've been talking about a lot. I actually just had a long conversation with Chris Carter on Steelers Afternoon Drive today. If you want to check that out, one video up here if you're on the YouTube channel or over at SteelersNow.com. But I think the question as to how much they're going to continue to use Darnell Washington, 48 snaps against the Minnesota Vikings 2 weeks ago, is a real big question for the Pittsburgh Steelers moving forward. I don't know if that usage is sustainable long term, but I kind of think it might happen this week. And when you're talking about the things we're talking about, fantasy sports, player props, this week's all that matters. Well, as Mike Tomlin said on Tuesday, we will not be big picture guys and gals on this show.
Yeah. And so the reason I'm loving this is I just think he's going to see a lot of time against the Browns again with that 4-3. Alan, you still got me? You still got me there?
Yeah. Well, maybe not. Might have lost Julie. As we're hey folks, live video
right,
doesn't always cooperate. I think we got you back, maybe. Good. No. All right. Well, I will continue. I do like the idea of Darnell Washington in a player prop standpoint. Obviously, it doesn't have any fantasy value. I mean, I'm in like the deepest, sickest fantasy football league you can think of, and I don't think anybody owns Darnell Washington in that one. But in terms of player props, and especially if you're looking at the anytime touchdown, his usage in the red zone has been something that we've talked about a lot. Like, Steelers fans have been thinking, hey, just throw it to them every time they get down there. I don't know how realistic that is, but I do think that he's someone that this week I think they're going to use a lot. Look, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out they had some things going that worked against the Minnesota Vikings, and also the Cleveland Browns have Myles Garrett. And what better way to continue what you were doing that worked and also try to deal with probably the best defensive player on the Steelers schedule in Myles Garrett, then more of Darnell Washington. So if you're looking at player props, if you can get him over receiving yards, I know not every outlet lists him. I like that. But the anytime touchdown to me is the real winner here. I honestly think all the Steelers tight ends are good bets here, especially like Pat Freiermuth over 3 receptions I kind of like. And we'll see. It does bring into some question, like they probably can't go to all of them. So it will be a little bit of like which of the Steelers tight ends are we going to see get the usage? But I do like Darnell here. Julie, you're back.
I'm back, and I'm on my cell phone now. We're late today. I don't know what happened. My laptop totally rebooted right before we started the show, and I guess it wasn't done when I logged back in. So here we are on the cell phone, ready to rock. So I don't know what you said, Alan, but I do love Darnell Washington, what I caught at the end, to be the guy this week. That they're going to pick. Therefore, with my start and sit them, I actually am going to sit Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith. I am so confident here in Darnell Washington being the guy that you start this week. I also saw, I believe it was on the Bet ESPN app. So Darnell Washington, the over 7.5 for the longest reception yards. I love that for a prop pick this week. I mean, he's just such a big guy that he'll have one catch over the middle and then he just drags a guy to beyond that 7.5 yards. So that's what I'm thinking this week.
Yeah, not everywhere has his receiving yards, so you might have to shop around a bit. But I saw plus 2,500 on an anytime touchdown. I really like that too. I just think he's such a red zone weapon.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I don't know what else you got to this week. I also am going to start the Steelers defense against the Browns offense this week. I think that's definitely a good play this week.
Yeah, the Steelers have been really opportunistic. Number 2 in the NFL in turnovers. Dylan Gabriel did okay with holding on to the ball in his first game. And the Vikings do have a good defense. So, I mean, I think
Right.
he did show something there. But a really good point brought up in Terrell Austin's press conference today. He's not that tall. He's only like 5'10",
Mhm.
5'11". And the Steelers defensive linemen have been getting their hands on a ton of passes. And I think 3 times already this year in 3 games, the Steelers have had an interception of a tipped pass at the line of scrimmage. Nick Herbig had one. Brandon Eccles had one in the end zone. TJ Watt had one last week. A short quarterback, defensive line love to get their hands up. I feel like that's a recipe for an interception.
Yeah.
So I will say, like, again, I don't think very many people are playing Dylan Gabriel in fantasy, but this is a sit for me for Dylan Gabriel. And I do
Mhm.
like playing the Steelers defense against a rookie quarterback as well.
Right. And because of that, with Gabriel too, I love starting Quinshon Judkins this week. I think he's just so hard to bring down, and I think they're going to have to use him a lot. His anytime TD is plus 105 this week. I'm liking that, but I definitely want to start him this week against the Steelers.
Yeah, I really do like Quinshon Judkins. I've liked him since going back to Ohio State, and I think this is a game where both teams are going to be very conservative on offense. The Browns because they probably don't trust Dylan Gabriel to not screw it up. The Steelers because they don't trust their offensive line to block Myles
Mhm.
Garrett for both reasons. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a volume play when it comes to Quinshon Judkins that's pretty easy to make. I mean, they do have some other options, Jerome Ford, Dylan Sampson, but since he's gotten in there, he's really been the heavy target share or touch share guy at running back.
Yeah,
And I think that's a pretty safe play for him this week. I'd be starting him in every fantasy format against the Steelers, who have not
absolutely.
stopped the run. Like, they've been
Mhm.
okay last week, but and they kind of shut down Stevenson because they made him fumble. But in general, they have not been great against the run.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree there. And then Jalen Warren, you've been seeing him in practice this week. I know some people are going to be wary about starting him this week. It seems like he's looking healthy. Would you start him this week, especially after how Gainwell's been kind of playing well?
Yeah, so I finally was able to trade for Jalen Warren. I've been trying all
Congratulations.
season in my one fantasy league. So I now have this decision to make on my own, and I'm sitting him. I
You're
don't
going
know.
to
I'm
sit
just
him.
nervous. So he's coming off a knee injury. I think he's healthy. I've seen him in
Mhm.
practice. He looks good. I'm just questioning the what's the snap share going to be between him and Kenneth Gainwell. Gainwell was so good, 99 yards rushing against the Vikings, and Caleb Johnson looked good when he got in there as well. Will they just split up his carries so much that it eats away at his fantasy value? I do think he's the best receiver out of the backfield of the 3 and the most reliable pass protector, and so he has a lot of check down value for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I don't know. I I love Jalen Warren. I think he's really good. There's a chart out today that shows him being the best rusher after contact in the NFL
Mhm.
by a country mile. I don't know. And also number 2 rushing defense in the country, the Cleveland
True.
Browns this week as well. So I think whoever runs the ball for the Steelers, I think there will be a lot of touches to go around there, but I think it's going to be kind of tough sledding in general. Like, I think they're going to settle for a lot of
Mhm.
3-yard carries. So I am sitting Jalen Warren this week, even after I tried so hard for so long to get him.
Yeah, you did. Well, listen, I'm just glad that you finally got him. So, congratulations, Alan. Moving on to some of the games of the week. Eagles and Giants starting right now. Eagles is 7.5 point favorite over the Giants. I am taking them for this comeback win against the rookie quarterback Jackson Dart. What do you say?
I like the Eagles to win very easily. The cover is tough for me.
Mhm.
They haven't been clicking on offense. I really think though, and the reason I will take the Eagles is when you have upset wide receivers, you get up 3 points late in the game. The Eagles are certainly capable of taking the air out of the ball and just sitting on a lead and winning a game with Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. But I don't think they'll do that when you're having players meetings about AJ Brown and Devontae Smith's role in the offense. I think they'll keep throwing even if they get up. So that's why I like the Eagles even laying the points.
Staying in the division, I definitely want to take the Cowboys this week. I'm wondering what you have to say. I think that they can cover 3.5 in Carolina.
I do not trust the Dallas Cowboys. I really don't trust the Carolina Panthers, though. In general,
Right?
I think this line is pretty good. I think there's some value on the Panthers. I saw a +3 at +100, which I think is kind of nice. The Cowboys are a better team, and they should win. I have very little faith in them. Their defense is very suspect. Like backdoor covers galore for me. Like I do like over 49.5. I think Carolina can score, and Dallas does not play very good defense.
Mm-hmm.
So you could be in line for a shootout there in Charlotte.
So start Dak and George Pickens is what
I do. I mean, I think George Pickens is firmly in auto start territory with CD Lamb out, but Dak as well.
Yeah, he's been picking up a lot of points for me in fantasy this year. All right, let's move on to the Ravens. Also looking for a bounce back this week against the Rams. Rams are a 7.5-point favorite. Obviously, Lamar's still out for this game, but I think that the Ravens, that's such a big spread against Baltimore. I'm going to give them the 7.5, lay the 7.5, take the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like no Lamar Jackson again. I do not think Cooper Rush can beat the Los Angeles Rams, but I think they can play enough defense to keep it close. Their defense is starting to get a little bit healthier. Their offensive line is getting a little bit healthier. I just think like Marlon Humphrey was at practice today. Cal Hamilton was a full participant in practice today. Those guys are huge. Still don't have Roquan Smith back. But I think they're kind of getting there in terms of the injury situation anyway. And that's really what's been holding this defense back. I mean, I don't think anybody thinks the Ravens defense is bad, but I believe they were like the most dropped fantasy defense that's not on a bye this week. People are just running for the hills, and I'll take the Ravens and the points anytime I can get that many points on Baltimore at home. But I kind of still think the Rams are going to win the game.
I entirely agree. I just think 7.5 is asking for too much from the Rams. Battle of the 1 and 4s. I'm going to take Tennessee, the Titans this week with the points 3.5 against the Raiders. I like the Titans this week, Alan. I'm not sure what you'll have to say about that.
I don't like either of these teams. I kind of like the Raiders. I mean, but okay. I don't know about laying 4.5 with them. That seems a bit excessive. But I
think it's 3.5.
Okay. I think the Raiders are a better team than they've played so far. Mm-hmm. And I think Pete Carroll's a good coach. I think there's a good game in there for them. It feels like Ashton Genty's kind of starting to come around a little bit. They might get Brock Bowers back this week. I could take the Raiders here.
All right. And then we like to always give you a preview for what the Steelers have coming next. That is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. And I just have no idea what to do with them this week against the Packers. The Packers are I wrote in my notes here and I just wrote IDK, no. I don't know what to do here. Joe Flacco is coming in, and I have no idea. I think that this is smart. It works for both teams. This totally makes sense for the Bengals to bring in Joe Flacco. And it makes me think that they're not going to lose by 14.5. That's such a huge spread to the Packers. And like I've said earlier, in weeks earlier, I think the Packers are great. Yeah, they've dropped a stinker, whatever. I think the Packers are a great team, but I just, that spread is too large for me, but I still I don't know. I'm looking for some more insight from you, Alan.
I love the Bengals here. I don't understand how this spread got to be where it is. I mean, sure, Joe Flacco wasn't good with the Browns, and neither was Jake Browning with the Bengals. And the Bengals have done nothing to deserve any benefit of the doubt so far. But like, the Packers don't put teams away. Like, that's the real problem here. I mean, we just watched them let the Cowboys hang around in overtime before their bye. I lost to the Browns before that. How is a team that is 0-1-1 in its last 2 games a 14-point favorite? I bet that's never happened. Like, I can't imagine. Like, they're not playing that well right now. I will take the Bengals and the points. I think they'll just try to keep Joe Flacco upright, play things close to the vest, and try to keep the game close. And I think they can do that.
All right, on to the Steelers, Alan. So right now the line, it was said 6.5 this morning. Now it's 5.5 against the Browns. I have been wrong the last 2 weeks. I am going to take the Steelers to cover this week over the Browns and over at 38.5. I, like we talked about earlier, I think there are going to be turnovers in this game at the hands of the Steelers defense. And I think hopefully for Steelers fans that Pittsburgh will be able to capitalize on that. And I'm going to take the over at 38.5.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to do with this line when it opened at 4.5. At 5.5, I think I like the Cleveland Browns. I very much expect the Steelers to win this game, but I think it will be a low scoring and close game. Neither offense should feel very good about this matchup. I think it will be a game where both teams will be very happy to run the ball for 2.5 yards per carry into a cloud of dust, a low possession game, a game where the idea is just to not lose for most of it. I think the Steelers will prevail, but I think this is going to be, I foresee a game where the Steelers win, but leaves the fan base extremely frustrated with the process that it took them to get there, and another narrow 1-score victory. So I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns getting 5.5 points. I think they can keep this very close. As far as the over-under, I mean, 38, and in fact, some places I've even seen 37.5 is just so low. I mean, I think it will be a low-scoring game. If I was going to pick that, though, I would still pick under. I just don't trust these offenses to score.
Yeah, I get it. I'm only picking solely because of I think the Steelers are going to force more than one turnover.
That is the way the game goes easily over, is if you throw a pick six into the mix or something like that, and then you can kind of run away with it. But I'm expecting a close, tight game. I would not actually wager money on under 37.5 because that's
fair enough.
But I think if I had to pick it, that's the way I would go.
Yeah, it's so low, but agree to disagree again this week, Alan, and of course we'll hear your full prediction. We'll see if you come to your senses tomorrow on an afternoon drive.
One of us will be right this week, though. We're guaranteed that.
Guaranteed winner. I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our page. Thanks for joining us for Pelusi's Pick'em on the platforms of Steelers Now. I'm Julianne Pelusi with Alan Saunders. Good night.